The story was simple. A tragedy, a grieving widow, a nation watching in sympathy. But scratch the surface and the mask falls fast. The widow, evidence is emerging that she was groomed, trained to mourn.
I don't necessarily think they know what's going on yet. There's a lot of weird going on with.
The internet has exploded with speculation, and for once, it's not just rumors. Charlie Kirk's widow has vanished without a trace, leaving fans, friends, and even the media stunned. What makes it even more chilling? Her disappearance comes just days after Joe Rogan dropped what he called explosive new evidence, something connected to Charlie's hidden life and a truth no one was supposed to find. The timing is impossible to ignore, and the silence feels deliberate. Was it coincidence? Or did someone know too much? For years, she's been the quiet figure behind one of America's loudest voices, graceful, loyal, and seemingly untouched by the chaos around her. But now, that calm exterior has shattered into mystery. People are asking, why did she vanish now? And what does Joe Rogan's revelation really expose? Because sometimes, disappearance isn't escape, it's a message. Before the chaos, there was calm. Charlie Kirk and his wife were seen as a power couple, a blend of influence and faith. Standing tall through criticism, building a life that seemed unshakable. He was the voice of conviction, never afraid to speak his truth. She was the quiet strength behind him, rarely in the spotlight, but always present. Together, they built not just a following, but a legacy, one that millions admired, and millions questioned. But after Charlie's passing, everything changed. Erica Kirk, once composed and graceful, stepped out of the public eye. Her silence spoke louder than words. People assumed she was grieving, healing, or simply protecting what little privacy she had left. Yet now, that same silence has turned into something darker, something that feels like absence. And then came Joe Rogan, blunt, fearless, and never one to stay quiet when he senses something bigger beneath the surface. His latest podcast didn't just stir conversation, it cracked open a story that many believe might have been hidden for years. The evidence he teased wasn't just about politics or media, it was personal. And somehow, all roads seemed to lead back to her. It started like any other episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, casual, unscripted, raw. But somewhere between the laughter and the serious talk, Joe's tone shifted. The air in the studio seemed to tighten. He leaned forward, his expression turning thoughtful, even heavy. Then he said, "It is a sentence that sent shockwaves across the internet. There's something about Charlie Kirk's story that doesn't add up, and I don't think we've heard the full truth, especially from the people closest to him." The studio went quiet. His guest froze for a moment, unsure how to respond. Rogan wasn't naming names, but everyone knew who he was talking about. The words people closest to him were all it took. Within minutes, clips of that moment were flooding social media, fans replaying every pause.
Okay, you're saying something that's actually factually inaccurate,
right,
according to the narrative. Now, let's be real clear. I don't necessarily think they know what's going on yet. There's a lot of weird shit going on with this.
I know.
Really.
I almost texted you when the Charlie, because my antennas went up about, they showed the photo of that kid, or the guy that they have, the 22-year-old,
yeah,
whatever. And I was almost going to be like, dude.
This kid had a rifle with a scope. Now, here's where it gets weird. The first images of this rifle with a scope, I swear to God, it looks like he has a composite stock on it. Like, it looks like a modern 30-06 rifle. There was that one guy who was the decoy. All right, so you got this guy who's an older guy who starts yelling out. Didn't he took his pants down?
Every look, trying to decode what Joe really meant. Some say it was the way his voice cracked slightly. A mix of curiosity and concern that made it feel real. Others pointed to his eyes, how he looked off camera, as if he knew more than he was saying. Whatever it was, it didn't feel like gossip. It felt like a warning. And the most chilling part, just days later, Erica Kirk, Charlie's widow, disappeared from the public eye entirely. No posts, no appearances, no statements. Fans noticed immediately. Her last Instagram story vanished. Her social profiles went silent. It was as if she'd simply erased herself. That's when the theories began to spiral. Had she gone into hiding? Was she avoiding the media storm Joe had unleashed? Or, as some dared to whisper, was there something she didn't want uncovered? What made Joe's revelation hit harder than most wasn't just what he said, it was the timing. He dropped those words right when rumors about Charlie's final months had started resurfacing, with whispers of hidden documents, secret meetings, and people who wanted those details buried forever. To Rogan's listeners, it sounded less like a coincidence, and more like the first crack in a long-protected wall of silence. It all began quietly. Too quietly. One moment, Erica Kirk was present, poised, and active online. And the next, she was gone. No posts, no stories, no public appearances. The first red flag came when fans realized she hadn't updated her Instagram in over a week, something deeply unusual for someone who regularly shared messages about faith, family, and healing. Her last post stopped everyone cold. A simple black and white photo with a caption that read, "Sometimes, truth requires distance." Within hours, the comment section exploded. Followers were confused, emotional, and worried. Some thought it was poetic, a reflection of grief and healing, but others believed it was a sign, a goodbye, a warning, or even a coded message. Then, the dominoes started to fall. She reportedly pulled out of a major charity event she had been scheduled to host. No explanation, no statement. Her team went silent. Even her close friends, who once interacted with her posts regularly, stopped tagging or mentioning her. It was as if an invisible curtain had dropped overnight. Fans and online investigators started piecing together a timeline. Just 2 days after Joe Rogan's explosive comments about undisclosed truths, Erica had canceled all public plans. 3 days later, she disabled comments on older posts. By the 5th day, her entire social media activity flatlined. The timing was too perfect or too chilling to ignore. Speculation grew darker. Was she under immense emotional stress after Rogan's remarks stirred the internet into chaos? Or was there something or someone she was trying to get away from? Some fans whispered about guilt or fear. Others suggested she was simply protecting her privacy after being thrown back into the spotlight. But there was one undeniable fact. Her absence spoke louder than any statement ever could. And the mystery surrounding her vanishing act was no longer just gossip. It had become a full-blown online investigation, with millions of eyes trying to uncover what really happened to Charlie Kirk's widow. The moment Erica Kirk's disappearance hit social media, the internet turned into a virtual crime board. Within hours, TikTok detectives, Reddit investigators, and YouTube commentators began piecing together every move she'd made in the past month. Screenshots of her deleted posts, old interviews, and even her public speeches were dissected frame by frame. Everyone wanted to know one thing. Why did she vanish right after Joe Rogan's revelation? Twitter threads exploded with speculation. Some users claimed they had seen Erica at a small airport days before she disappeared. Others insisted she was staying with family out of the public eye. One post, viewed over 2 million times, suggested that Erica knew something bigger than anyone imagined, and Joe Rogan's comments pushed her to go silent before things got out of hand. The emotional intensity online was overwhelming. Supporters flooded her older posts with messages of love and concern. "You owe no one an explanation, take your time to heal." Others weren't so gentle. Rumors began to swirl, accusing her of hiding information or distancing herself from the truth Joe Rogan had hinted at. The internet was divided, half praying for her safety, the other half demanding answers. Meanwhile, podcast hosts, journalists, and gossip pages amplified the chaos. Titles like, "Where is Erica Kirk?" and "Did Joe Rogan just expose too much?" dominated YouTube and TikTok's trending pages. Every theory grew more intense than the last. Some believed she had gone into hiding for protection, while others thought she was preparing to speak out publicly. But beneath all the noise, an emotional undercurrent ran deep. This wasn't just another celebrity scandal. This was a grieving widow caught in a storm of speculation, trying to protect her late husband's legacy while living under a microscope. Fans who once saw her as unshakable now realized how fragile public life could be. As one viral tweet summed it up perfectly, "Everyone wants the truth, but no one stops to think what that truth might cost her." Her silence, her distance, and the eerie timing after Rogan's revelations created the perfect storm, a blend of heartbreak, mystery, and suspicion that no one could look away from. And as the world waited for her next move, one question echoed louder than ever. Was Erica Kirk running from the lies or from the truth? Beneath all the headlines, hashtags, and viral theories, this story carries something heavier, something painfully human. Erica Kirk's disappearance isn't just about speculation or celebrity mystery. It's about grief, pressure, and the unbearable weight of living in the public eye while mourning someone who defined your world. For years, Erica stood beside Charlie as his quiet strength. Where he was bold and outspoken, she was calm and grounded, the balance that kept his world steady. When Charlie passed, she didn't crumble in public. Instead, she carried herself with grace, speaking about faith, healing, and hope. But behind that composure, fans now wonder if she was breaking in silence. Joe Rogan's revelation reopened wounds many thought had healed. when he hinted that there was more to the story. The world turned its gaze toward Erica. Suddenly, every photo, every statement, every moment of stillness was treated as a clue, as if grief wasn't sacred, but something to be decoded. And that's the tragedy of fame. Even heartbreak becomes content. Friends close to Erica described her as spiritually exhausted, saying she'd been struggling with the duality of being both a widow and a public figure. Every interview request, every podcast invitation, every headline dragged her deeper into the past she was trying to move beyond. She didn't want to relive it anymore. One source reportedly said, she wanted peace, not pity. And yet, peace is impossible when millions of strangers are watching your every move, waiting for your next post, your next tear, your next confession. So, when she vanished, some fans didn't see it as suspicious, they saw it as survival. This emotional undercurrent reveals a deeper truth about the world we live in, that public sympathy and public scrutiny often look the same. People say they care, but they keep refreshing for updates. They say they want answers, but what they really crave is closure for a story that was never theirs to tell. For Erica, disappearing might have been the only way to reclaim something that fame had stolen her privacy. Maybe she wasn't running away from secrets or danger. Maybe she was running toward something, peace, solitude, or the chance to finally heal without judgment. As one fan beautifully wrote in a now viral post, sometimes the loudest cry for help isn't noise, it's silence. Maybe Erica's silence is her way of saying she's had enough. And in that silence, we're left to wonder not just what happened to Charlie Kirk's widow, but what fame, grief, and the unrelenting hunger for truth can do to a person's soul. Because in the end, this story isn't about scandal, it's about survival. Joe Rogan's explosive new evidence may have sent shockwaves through the internet, but beneath all the noise lies something far more haunting. Why did Charlie Kirk's widow vanish at all? This isn't just about gossip or conspiracy, it's about truth, fear, and the unbearable weight of power in the public eye. When Joe hinted that his evidence changes everything, it didn't just ignite curiosity, it exposed how fragile reputation, grief, and privacy can become when millions are watching. The question isn't just what she knew, it's why she felt she couldn't stay to tell it. For years, Erica Kirk lived in the shadow of both love and legacy. She wasn't a political figure by choice, she was pulled into that world by proximity. Her husband, Charlie Kirk, was a towering presence, loud, decisive, and constantly in the spotlight. Erica was the quiet counterbalance, the person who offered grace amid chaos. But when that light turned harsh and accusatory after Charlie's death, it may have exposed something even the cameras couldn't capture. The quiet fear of being misunderstood forever. Rogan's comment might have been just another podcast moment, a passing remark meant to spark conversation. But to Erica, it could have felt like a door swinging open she'd been desperately trying to keep closed. Every word, every what if, every clip dissected online might have pushed her further away from the world she once shared with him. And that brings us to the haunting question, was her silence a statement in itself? Maybe her vanishing isn't about guilt or secrets. Maybe it's about freedom, stepping away from a stage that never let her stop performing. When people lose someone they love, they grieve, but when public figures lose someone, they're expected to grieve publicly, to perform heartbreak in palatable doses for headlines and sympathy clicks. Perhaps Erica simply couldn't do that anymore. Her silence, then, becomes its own message, a protest against the endless cycle of exposure, a quiet rebellion that says, "You've heard enough. I'm done explaining." And maybe that's what Joe Rogan was really pointing to without realizing it, not a mystery to be solved, but a pain too deep to keep replaying. Because in a world where everyone has a microphone, silence becomes the only power left. It's the one thing that can't be twisted, edited, or taken out of context. And if Erica Kirk truly chose to disappear, maybe she didn't vanish out of fear, maybe she vanished to remind us that not every truth belongs to the public. As one viewer commented under Rogan's clip, if silence is her statement, maybe we should finally start listening. And that's the deeper meaning buried in all of this, that sometimes, disappearing isn't running away from the truth, it's protecting it. In the end, this story isn't just about Joe Rogan's explosive words or the mystery surrounding Charlie Kirk's widow, it's about the human cost of exposure. Fame, truth, grief, these are not headlines, they're heartbeats. And somewhere behind every trending topic is a person, just trying to hold on to what's left of their peace. When Joe Rogan dropped that revelation, it didn't just ignite a wave of curiosity, it sparked something deeper. It reminded the world that pain doesn't vanish when the cameras turn off, and that even those who seem composed can be quietly falling apart. Erica Kirk's silence, her disappearance, and the cryptic words she left behind. Sometimes truth requires distance, may not be about scandal at all. They might be her final act of self-preservation in a world that never stops asking questions. And yet, her absence speaks louder than any statement ever could. It's left fans heartbroken, curious, and conflicted, questioning whether truth in today's world is ever truly free. Because when you're surrounded by microphones, every whisper becomes an echo, and every choice becomes a story for someone else to tell. Maybe that's the price of public life, that your silence is never yours alone. So now, we're left with questions that may never be answered. Was Erica protecting herself? Protecting Charlie's legacy? Or trying to tell us something without ever speaking again? Whatever the truth may be, one thing is certain. This moment has changed how people see grief, privacy, and truth itself. It's a chilling reminder that not every secret is meant to be uncovered, and not every disappearance is a mystery to solve. Sometimes, it's simply the sound of someone reclaiming their peace. Now it's your turn. What do you think? Was Joe Rogan exposing something the world needed to know? Or did his words push someone too far? Drop your thoughts below. We read every comment, and if you want to keep exploring the real stories behind the headlines, the truth, the emotion, the untold, make sure to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more powerful, eye-opening breakdowns of the stories shaking the internet. Because here, we don't just report gossip, we uncover the emotion behind it.